Hey, all right. This is take two of the Ask Us Anything with pre-PT. You call it like a pre-PT chat live prequel, whatever, because we normally have those on Thursday nights. But we want to make sure that we did this before the application cycle opens up on Thursday, which is a big day. It's a big day for a lot of you. And as we go tonight, how it's going to work is we're going to do our best to answer a lot of the questions that you have all already put up. You've all put up a lot of great questions already. Some have been in the pre-doctor physical therapy students page. Others have been on our pre-PT grind business, Facebook page. But tonight we want to answer those questions. We want to answer any questions that you might have. So feel free, like as we go tonight, feel free to drop, questions that you have, concerns that you have, just because we understand that at this point in the application process, there's a lot of things. There's a lot of factors. There's a lot of things that you're all probably concerned about or curious about, and you want to understand how to leverage and put together. And then also be on the lookout in the next few days. We're going to have some content that's going to be especially applicable to all of you that are applying this cycle. So we just want to make sure that you guys all have the best possible chance to get in. So we want to be as helpful as we can to all of you. And so that's why we do these. That's why we decided to do pre-PT Ask Us Anything. We just want you guys to have, for the next few moments, we want you guys to be able to ask us all the questions that are on your mind, the things that have, been concerning you, or anything that you feel has been, holding you back from being at the top of your game as a pre-PT. So as we go through it, like I said, let's just kind of flow in, drop any questions that you have, drop anything that you are, curious about, and then we'll make sure that we take care of those things. And if you guys have any questions, even if you're a team replay, drop them below, tag our team, and we'll make sure to answer it as well. We want to make sure, once again, that y'all have the best. Sounds about right, Casey?
Sounds good. Sounds good. Let's do it. Let's get into these questions.
Let's do it. So let's start from the beginning. So somebody asked this question, and we want to just kind of go straight into it. The question was, what advice, and this is an appropriate question, what advice would you have for students who are entering the application cycle this week, students that are applying for the 2018 to 2019 school cycle? What advice do we have? Casey, I'll let you go first, and then I'll wrap it up with this question, of course. But what advice, this is what the student is asking, like, what advice do we have for those that are applying for the 2018 to 2019 school cycle? What you got, Casey?
If anything, if I can say one thing, it would be to apply as early as possible. Now I understand life happens, and you might be like, well, I can't do this, I can't do that. We all have things. There's work, you got the GRE to study for, you might have a family, you got things going on, and you might not be able to apply as early as you want. But you guys asked, so we're going to give you the straight answer. I would say apply as early as you can. I don't care if you're doing early decision, if none of your schools have early decision, it doesn't matter. Apply as early as possible, because how it works for a lot of schools is something called rolling admissions. They're not, a lot of schools aren't going to wait till October 15th, February 2nd, whenever their deadline is to, okay, now we're going to look through. Not necessarily. They're going to look through them as they come.
Yeah.
Now, if you don't apply early and you wait until that deadline, they might be 90% full. They might be 85% full.
Yeah.
And you're going up against a majority of the applicants, right? So if you apply as early as possible, I don't care if it's August 15th, August 31st, September 7th, whatever you can manage to do, get that in and get it sent off, because it takes a couple weeks for PT guys to process it. So if you want to go and compete against as little applicants as possible and give yourself the best chance, I'd say whatever you can do as early as possible.
I completely agree, and I think the second part to that is also just make sure that you have your full game plan laid out. Like, are you going into this application process to kind of figure things out as you go? Or do you have a pretty clear, concise game plan of how everything's going to transpire? Like, for example, what we normally see is a lot of pre-PTs, like Casey was saying, and this is really part of that waiting till the last minute to apply. But we're seeing a lot of students that are waiting to the point where they're like, okay, well, shoot, my application is due in 5 days. What do I got to do? And I'm like, oh, you're just not trying to figure out what PTCAS is? Come on now. Come on now. Like at that point, you're setting yourself up. Like you're setting yourself up. And then we sit there trying to figure out like, why the heck didn't I get it accepted? Why didn't I get an interview? Because there was hundreds of students that decided to apply early. They didn't wait till the deadline in October. You know what I mean? And so just give yourself the edge. Like there's a lot of things that we teach about how to set yourself apart, how to, turn yourself into the ideal student. But come on, like, let's go back to basics. Like whoever lines up for lunch first gets lunch first. You know what I mean? And so just put yourself in a position to win, right? Once it opens up, it's not slowing down. Does that make sense? Like once the application process opens up, it's not going to slow down. It's not going to wait.
You got all your stuff.
Yeah, it's like, oh, well, my application is not due till September 25th. Well, okay, so what? So what? Like put it in earlier. If your schools do rolling admission, that is obviously the best way to go. But it's like a pseudo, it's a pseudo early decision, right? Even if you don't do early decision where you're locked into one school, it's a pseudo early decision. So take full advantage of it. What Casey said was money. All right, was money. Now we have more questions, so we're gonna go through them. As we go through these questions that have already been put in the pre-doc page and also in our pre-PT Grind Facebook page, feel free to comment below with any questions that you guys have. And if you go our team replay, we are okay with you doing hashtag team replay and then, tagging us in your question. We'll take care of you. Sounds good? All right. So another student asked, if one PT and one professor's letter of recommendation is required for a particular program, so they only require a PT and a professor, and you have options for a third, would another PT letter of recommendation be preferred, or would it strengthen your application more than the professor? The honest truth is this, guys. Meet the requirements. If they say PT and a professor, cool. Meet those, check, nice. The biggest thing with letters of recommendation is that it's the first time for schools to get, honestly, that and essays are, one time for schools to get a feel of you on the personal level, not your grades, not your GRE, not the numerical stuff that they're going to see on paper. It's a chance for them to figure out who you really are, right? And so the only two people that can do that is either you or people that know you, right? And so the person that knows you best in regards to the letters of recommendation, the person that knows you best is always going to be the one that sets you up, for the best chance to get accepted. They're going to be the ones that can speak more on the experiences that you have to offer. They're going to be able to speak more on, so many different elements. And that's why I would go with that. Like if you have a choice between like another professor and another teacher, like find the one that actually knows you better. The one that like sometimes for me, it was actually a professor. It was a professor because I had struggled in that one. I know the professor, like, for real. Like I like legit, like I had struggled in that class so much, and I had spent so much time in that teacher's office trying to understand this one particular physics, y'all. Physics and chemistry were my struggles. So if y'all struggle with them, you're going to be all right. But I had spent so much time in the office of those professors that I was like, yo, I already know who knows me real well. I already know who knows, my work ethic. I already know who knows what I do when I'm down. I already know who knows, so all those different components. And then as you're doing that, you're actually figuring out, like personalities and all these different components. And so if I'm doing that for a year, I'm going with that as opposed to that PT that I shadowed, for the last 4 weeks. So that's an easy decision. So choose the one that knows you best, and you will not lose. All right. And so we have another question here, Casey. I'll toss this one to you. It says, if applying early decision to a school that does not require observation hours to be verified. So here's the question. Can you still get the hours verified when the application opens, or do you need to wait until you're applying to specific schools that require verification?
Okay, so technically you can apply before the observation hours are in. Like technically you can. there's a specific list on PTCast. So go to ptcast.org. You guys can search this up. There's a specific list of things you can change post submission, and technically observation hours are one of them. So yeah, you can definitely have them pending, and have them signed off at a later date. But the thing is, we kind of touched on this earlier. Will your specific school still look at your application without the observation in? Because you can send it in through PTCast. It can process, it could, get checked off, be complete, be verified, whatever stamp of approval they give you. However, on the school side, are they going to see an incomplete application and say, we'll wait, we'll put it in the incomplete pile, we'll wait and look at that later, while they look and accept, completed applications? That's the only thing I want you to think about. Technically, you can send it in, and if it does come to that, like I said before, I understand situations come up, and once everything's complete, they'll look at your application, no problem. You can still get in. That's not a problem. The only thing I want you to think about, though, is if you can get them in on time and early, and submit a completed application, you're just going to be in a better situation. I just don't want I don't want that school, if the school does operate like this, I don't want that school to be like, okay, not completed yet. Boom, on to the next. Exactly. I don't want that to happen. So technically, you can have them pending. You can have them, verified and signed off on later. But if you can help it, get that completed application in.
Boom, boom. Couldn't have said it better myself. Next question is if grades and GRE scores are equal among applicants. This is a good question. If grades and GRE scores are equal among applicants, what is the next most important piece of the application? Essays or letters of recommendation? So what I'm hearing is, if I'm trying to stand out and it seems like grades and GRE scores are not really doing it because they're still pretty equal among applicants, what is the next biggest thing? Honestly, both. The honest truth is both, because by both, I mean, you can't really choose either or. You got to kill it with both. Now, if you want us to go in, there's a lot of things you can do to set yourself up. And we're gonna have a training for you guys pretty soon where we'll explain a few things and we'll break that down. But there's a lot of things that you guys can do to set yourself up to become a good applicant. But the honest truth is, those are both very important. Letters of recommendation and essays are so important, because everything that comes out of it, like even for the programs, especially for the programs that aren't doing interviews and all, they have to figure out, is this the right student for us? They're not just looking at there are some programs that will just look at the grades and all those different things and so on and so forth. But you want to stand out. You want to stand out. So if GRE is, a 300 and everybody else has a 300, if your GPA is a 3.2 and everybody has a 3.2, what is the next thing? What is the next thing? You want to stand out. So there are so many other components, but strictly from this question, the question that had the options of either letter of recommendation or essays, it's both. You have to kill it with both. Your experience is your experience and nobody else's. Does that make sense? Your reason for being in physical therapy, the work ethic you have, the grind, whatever pushes you every single day, all those elements are yours. So have that highlighted. Now where you take it home is the interview. When you get that call for the interview, that's the third piece. The first two are the letter of recommendation and the essay. The last piece is the interview. That's when you show up and you close the deal. Because those are the only three things that are removed from you and the actual things that you've done numerically, grades, this, that. Obviously, you have a resume, all those different things. And so show that in your essay, and we'll share some stuff about how to deal with essays. But show that in your essay, have that come out when you have the prompt. Don't look at the prompt and just give them what you think they want to know. They want to see you. Does that make sense? And so utilize your experience, your stories, pull them in, suck them into your experience so that they want to know more. It's like a date, y'all. If you've never been on a date, I apologize. One day it'll happen. Casey and I are rooting for you, yay! But but on a date, it's the same thing. It's like you show interest. You show interest in somebody else because there's something about them that intrigues you enough to want to know more about them. Does that make sense? Or you got set up by your friends, either or. You know what I mean? But without being set up, like you find something in somebody, or even if you're set up, you have to choose whether you want to go on another date or not, right? And so there's something about that person that intrigues you. And so everything in your essay, pull them into your experience, pull them into your story, have that highlighted. So they're like, yo, there's like when that story comes up, they can't forget you. They like, are you too forgettable as a pre-PT? You have to ask yourself that. Are you too forgettable? And so whether that's that, the letters of recommendation are the people that have actually seen you and witnessed you doing those elements, like doing those things. They have seen you in action. They have seen you some at your low points. They have seen you at your high points. They have seen all those different. So you have to make sure that those two work for you. And this is why you don't want to play the card, or you don't want to play the dangerous game of just picking any random PT. You don't want to pick any random, like a physical therapist, professor, whoever that knows you, that's an adult that can sign a piece of paper. You don't want to do that. You like someone asked me, they're like, is it their credentials? If they have all these accreditations, they don't care. They don't care. If the person can't speak well about you, then there's nothing about you that the program is going to want to see any more of. If the first time you meet somebody, the person that you would potentially go out on a date with, if all they are is dull and they don't even speak to you and there's nothing really interesting about them, then what more are you going to really want to know? But if they are intriguing to you, if you're like, man, like there's something different about this person, let me find out more. Maybe you're just physically attracted to them. Maybe you're attracted to their mind. Who knows what it is? But at the end of the day, like once you figure that out, then you want to dig deeper. And that's now when the schools are bringing you in. That like when the schools are really interested, that's when they say, hey, yo, listen, we want to interview you. Here are the dates we have open. What is your availability? And you choose whether to go or not. But when you show up, that's not the time to suck up to them. That's not the time to say, oh, I just want, no. Like that's the time where you show out. You show interest in them. You invest in them. You figure out as much as you can about their program. And then when you show up, you absolutely destroy it. Like it's like a date again. If I show up on a date and all I do is talk about myself, there's a good chance that the person's not going to want to see me again. But if I understand them, if I seek to understand them, if I seek to talk about them and highlight their strengths and all those different things, they're going to actually want to know more about me. There's so many things that are relatable to just human interactions. This whole thing is a human to human interaction. So it's not something that y'all should be freaking out about too much, but just understand that it's not just a system you're working against. It's not just numbers you're working against. It's not just an application machine that you're working against. It's real people. So highlight those things by making sure that you take care of that. So let me see. I see a few things in here. One of the schools I want to apply to early has early admission, but I just want to apply generally. Do I have to wait until early admission is over? Or is there a button I click when submitting that says that general or early? Casey, break that down for us, boss.
Yeah, we talked about this a little bit at the beginning. So if you want, after we end the live, go back and listen to the beginning. We talked about applying early. But basic answer, you can apply as early as you want. It doesn't matter if it's early decision or not. Of course, early decision, there's a specific deadline. And yes, you do have to verify, click a button, or whatever they're doing this cycle, whatever software they changed, to indicate that you are doing early decision. If not, just apply. You guys can apply July 5th. You guys can send in your application July 5th if you want. Mm-hmm. If you really want to, you could send in your completed general application. Doesn't have to be early decision. The full, general application to as many schools as you want. And we have a certain number we recommend, but you can send that in as early as you want. So it doesn't matter if it's early decision or regular. Just make sure you indicate which one you're doing and send it in. Send it in.
Exactly. Perfect. Haley has a question. She says, how many schools do you recommend applying to? So I'll say the answer and then I'll even explain why. So from our students that are in, like our pre-PT success program and other pre-PTs that have been successful in this process, we understand that it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money to invest in each school. It's a lot of money to apply to each school. I've seen everything from like 10 schools to 50 schools. I think there's like, I saw this one like stat one time. I think Casey saw it too, where like one student in the US or something like that had applied to, what was it, like 60 something schools? It was something ridiculous. Like I was like, yo, that's
and unreal. They got into zero.
So obviously that's an extreme case. But your question is, how many schools are ideal to apply to? If you play your game right, if you play your cards right, 5. Here's why. A lot of pre-physical therapy students are applying in the dark. Now, you might be like, yo, I don't know what the heck that means, Joseph. They're applying in the dark by, in the sense that, like, ask yourself, like, why did you choose the schools that you chose? Like, the schools that you're thinking to apply to, like, ask yourself, like, in all seriousness, like, why did I choose those schools? And usually what it ends up being is, well, 1, I've always wanted to go to that school. 2, I've heard good things about it. I have it. 3, I went to the campus. It looked nice. It appealed to me, all those different things. 4, I mean, you can go down the list. My parents went there. My friends went there. My classmates are going there. There's always these other reasons. But the honest truth is, not a lot of people say it's because I'm a match for it.
Mm-hmm.
Not a lot of people say that. And here, well, let me make it clear. In the physical therapy school world, all the school has to be is accredited. There's no like prestigious programs that you have to say, wow, I went to Duke, I went to this, like, it doesn't really matter. If it's accredited, you're going to graduate and you're going to be a doctor of physical therapy. And the honest truth is, most of the learning I've done is after I graduated with my doctorate degree. So it's not like you're going to be any behind in the game. Does that make sense? You'll get your degree, you'll pass your boards, fantastic. But just find the school that matches you. And that's why you can do 5. That's why our students do 5. The ones that are applying, like, we set them up for 5. Now, the problem is, like, now how can I find schools that, match up with mine, like with where I'm at? Like, you have to look, at yourself first, like everything, GRE, grades, all these different things, like understand where you're at, because even though there are elements where you want to be able to set yourself apart as a pre-PT, there's also the realistic fact that schools are like the first date, where it's the initial, maybe superficial interaction for the first bit. Like, they just look at the numbers at first. They're like, wow, GRE, this. And so you don't want to be applying with a 2.9 GPA in a school that only accepts 3.5s or higher. Does that make sense? But you having a 2.5 GPA with your last 60 credits being, higher and within the range of a certain program that accepts a certain GPA, or that GPA within the last 60 credits, like, you're actually a match for that. So what you end up doing is, with each school that you're applying to that you're not a match for, you're just throwing money in the garbage, is what you're doing. Like, I'm going to be real. Like, if you've never heard Casey and I talk before, we're kind people. We're not trying to be evil or anything like that. But I wanted, like, we're trying to save y'all from the mistakes that a lot of our peers have made, and a lot of other pre-PTs have made. The ones that have come to us saying, yo, this is my 3rd time applying, 4th time. I don't know what's going on. I just keep applying to schools. Should I apply to 20 next time? Should I apply to 30? The honest truth is, if you're applying to the same doggone type of schools, then you're going to end up with the same doggone type of situation. So you want to set yourself up to have, like, the best chance to get in, simply because you're choosing programs that align with you. So figure that out. Like, what is your current GPA? What is your current GRE? Your prerequisite GPA, what is that? That's, I mean, honestly, like, let's be real. Like, that's really the only GPA we can change much of. You know what I'm saying? Like, we can only really change our prereq GPA, because if I've had over 100 credits, for my cumulative GPA, retaking a few classes really won't change that. It will change my prerequisite, though. So understand where your leverage is, and once you can master that, that's one area that we really help our students in, one-on-one and stuff. But once you can master that, then now you're actually setting yourself up to have a much better application. What have you done? You've saved yourself money, and you've also put yourself in a position to do pretty darn well. Like, just don't surprise yourself. Like, I mean, shoot, like one question that Casey and I posed one time on the live stream was, you said, well, if you were on the other end of this application process, what would you be looking for? Like, what kind of PT student would you be looking for if you were the admissions director, if you were the professor interviewing? So look for, like, be your ideal candidate. But right now, you also have to be realistic with where you're at. Be realistic with where you're at in terms of GPA. Let's see. My back? We good?
Yeah, we're back.
I bet. Woo! I got scared for a second. I was like, man.
I was like, we're deep in this. Please, no.
Yeah, man. It's like we going in. I can't stop. But that's it. That's why we say 5 schools. We don't say 5 schools carelessly. We say 5 schools because if you actually set it up right so that you can have a pretty good application, then it should only be 5. Save your money. Stop stressing yourself out. Stop shooting in the dark. Stop applying to 20 schools to make yourself feel good and then say, well, I don't know. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, by the time you apply, you should have done everything in your power to set yourself up to have a good application. That's why we say 5. And that's it. Boom. All right. Let's see what other programs you have. We have one that says, if you are retaking a prerequisite this summer, do you send your transcripts when PTCast opens and then resend them with the completed grade, or wait to send them with a completed grade once it's posted? Casey, what's your thoughts, man?
Once PTCast opens, do you send your transcripts? Do you resend your transcripts? That's the question. See if I can pull it up.
So pretty much, if I'm taking classes this summer and I'm a pre-PT and I'm trying to send my transcripts to PTCast once it's opened, do I send a copy now and then a copy later once my, summer grades have been, updated in my transcripts, or do I just like wait till all that's been updated and send it all together?
Okay, I got you. So they're gonna want a transcript from you from whatever class you take, just so they can verify it. So if you end up in that situation and you send in your transcripts and you're still missing some classes and it comes in this fall, 100%, I recommend getting another transcript from that school officially sent to PTCast. Because if it's not verified, if it doesn't have their stamp of approval, the school might be like, well, what's up with these 2 grades? Is it good? Are they just inputting this in just because they found out we need some extra classes and they didn't have it done? How do I know it's real? So I definitely recommend just having the school send in another transcript with those new grades and put it in. But if you can do it like this, where you're fully finished with those classes, and it's not too long down the road, like if it's early August, mid-August, you should be okay. Just waiting a little bit until everything's in, so you don't have to do that extra step. But if it does come down to it, don't worry about it. Don't freak out. It's okay. Just get the school to send another transcript, just a piece of paper, just a mail stamp, and it'll get solved. No big deal. So that's an easy fix.
Perfect. I love it. All right, and now we have another question. It says, I've been making a good connection with a PT and I want a letter of recommendation from him, but I'm worried that it looks bad after only being able to observe a few hours. They only allow me to observe 16 hours there. Thoughts on asking the PT about doing this? So Emily, it's very similar to what we were just talking about in regards to letters of recommendation. At the end of the day, there's a lot of people that I had good relationships with when I was applying. There's a number of people that I was like, wow, like they would actually like write a pretty cool one because we jived, we vibed, whatever word you want to use. And you might have actually built a really good relationship even in those hours, but it won't look bad on the side of the PT. And we could talk about how to handle that question. So I'll get there. But let's start with this. If like just always come back to who knows you better. If you're looking for a PT, if this is like the one PT that you're like, wow, this is like, this meets my requirement for having a physical therapist that's part of my letters of recommendation. If that's the reason for you going for this physical therapist and you're saying, wow, like I can't really think of anyone else, then okay, let's make it work. But always think out of the ones they list, whether they say a professor, whether they say a physical therapist, whether they say whoever they say on there per school that you need or whatever. And obviously pick the 2 or 3 Am I back? Am I back? I don't know if I'm back yet.
We're good. We're back again.
We're good. Oh man, yo, this internet's tripping, y'all. Internet's tripping. Don't even sweat it. But Emily, I want to finish your question. Make sure that it's someone that knows you well. If that physical therapist has gotten to know you well and can speak on you well, not just the fact that you work hard in the clinic. Any PT could tell you that. If you look like I can go to a clinic for a day and somebody can be like, oh, they look like they work hard in the clinic. Like a little more than that. If your relationship has been one where you've developed the ability to have them see different elements of you and you feel like they would be the best advocate for you as a physical therapist, go ahead and ask them. Okay. But if not, then that will be a bit of a challenging process where you're kind of having to force the agenda, which is where it usually gets a little bit uncomfortable for both of you. And they might still accept, but it's like, oh, I don't know what to really say about you and all that stuff, right? And so you don't want to put yourself in that position. So that's the first thing. Now, if you want to go and ask, if you want to know, okay, what the heck how do I even ask for this letter of recommendation? Like, it's a simple conversation. It's based on how y'all, like, how your personalities are. Like, I would just be very clear. It's like, hey, and I usually do this before the application cycle opens, just to prime them. But I would say, hey, like, thank you so much, first of all, for your mentorship, throughout the time that I've observed at your clinics. I am interested, like, obviously I'm applying this cycle and I really, really value everything that you have seen, in me, and obviously everything from you. And I value your opinion. I honestly think that you would be amazing to have as a letter of recommendation if that would be okay with you. Obviously use whatever language you use. Like, I talk differently from how Casey would say it. Casey says it different from how David Bailiff would say it. Like, we all have our way of doing it, but just go for it. Like, go for it. Like, if you've built that kind of relationship, it actually shouldn't be hard. It shouldn't be hard. If, like, people that are in our course, like, that are like, hey, Joseph, like, we've done power calls together, this and that, whatever. Like, if they ask me for a letter of recommendation, I'm not going to say no. I'll be like, heck yeah, I got a lot to talk about. I know, I can go all day because I know I've seen their low points. I've seen their high points. I've seen their successes. I've seen how they respond to it, and I've seen their heart. I've seen their passion for the profession. And if I can capture that in a letter of recommendation, then you better believe that student going to have a few professors think, twice about booting them out. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're going to really want that student more because I was able to speak on the behalf of the student. But if all I can do as a physical therapist, regardless of how much of a good personality, I had with a pre-PT, if all I can do is just give some basic bullet points, yeah, they come in early, yes, they work hard, yeah. If all I can do is that, then that just makes you average.
Mm-hmm.
That just puts you in the same boat as every other pre-PT that's doing the same thing. We're trying to make y'all next level The fact that y'all on this live stream, the fact y'all watching it now, the fact that y'all watching it on replay means that you are hungrier than a majority of other pre-physical therapy students. So what does that mean? Let's keep that on as you go through this process of applying. Like, set yourself apart all the way through. And that's my answer. Case, you got anything else to add?
Yeah, just keep in mind, because we get this question a lot. Just think of it like this. Who would you want talking behind your back? And that's it. Then pick that person, because that's basically what it is. Like, quote unquote, it's them, talking on your behalf to someone else. So it's basically, if this was a real life conversation, if this was Sims the video game, who would you like when you're gone? Who would you like talking about you? Who would you like to vouch for you on your behalf? So that's how you go about choosing somebody. Then how do you ask? Yes, you can use exactly what Joseph said. And I'll throw this, like, the cherry on top. You can, at the end of everything Joseph said, just be like, man, or girl, woman, lady, I just want to be like you. Boom, it's done. Who wouldn't be like, oh, snap, you want to be like me? You want to be like me? Oh, done. Boom.
A little ego stroke. Is that?
That's it. Throw that on top. Everything just that Joseph said, and end it with, I just want to be a fantastic physical therapist, just like you. Boom. It's done. It's done.
Yep. Man, we got so many questions. I got questions like on the previous links on here.
Yeah, that's how
we'll try to get to as many as possible. And if we can't get to all of them, the answers that we're giving are usually pretty. They're gonna hit a lot of those main areas. And if you guys have any more questions, you guys can always go to contactpreptgrind.com If we can put that in the comments, just somebody write contact preptgrind.com. If we don't hit your question tonight, or you have even more questions, you're like, oh my goodness, I want to figure this out. And a lot of times it's just understanding that, like, yo, maybe I didn't realize how much I didn't know about this application process, and it's starting. Holy crap, what do I do? And so, Thursday. Yeah, man, it started Thursday. You got 2 days, y'all. And so, if that's the case, like, send us a message at contactpreptgrind.com, and we'll take care of you. But yeah, if you guys have that, just know that's always an option. So the question is, what undergraduate elective courses would you recommend students take, Casey?
Man, okay, take anything you want. Basic answer, just have fun, take anything you want. Because they're just gonna look at what they want to look at. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, some schools may be like, oh, they took advanced exercise physiology, level 5,000. Some schools may look at that. Some schools may be like, oh, snap, they took Spanish. They might be bilingual, whatever. Some schools may look at that, but take the prerequisites that you have to take for your school. Anything else, take something you enjoy. You can even take something that can boost your GPA up a little bit. I'm not too concerned about elective classes, but I'm concerned about those prerequisites and boosting your GPA. So if you can take, kind of easy class related-ish to physical therapy, or if you take a business class, something totally unrelated, and it comes up in an interview, or you can talk about it, be like, oh, I took this business class, and, during our summer class, we went to freaking China, or we went to Southeast Asia. That might be a good elective to take, because now you can elaborate on it. So any class that can help you stand out, not just on paper, I'd say go for it. Take something you enjoy.
Boom, boom. Yeah, man. 100%. And now the next question says, to you and myself, Casey, it says, what specifically about PT made y'all finish your grind instead of turning to other awesome medical professions such as PA, PTA, DMT, etc.? So what I'm understanding from this question is pretty much like what caused or what led Casey and myself to push hard through getting our physical therapy degree. Let's try to make this answer short, because this could be a long answer. So short answer is I honestly didn't really know, like, even what PT was, like, until I was a junior in high school. A big reason for that was because I happened to be in the wrong room at the right time. I was trying to sign up for a presentation during my alumni weekend in high school, ended up signing up for the one that had most of my friends. It happened to be a physical therapist. And all I could remember thinking was, shoot, they freaking get paid to do that. And so PT was always in the back of my head since my junior year of high school. In undergrad, the ups and the downs, I will say that this was the one thing. First of all, I had done my fair share of just observing and shadowing other professions. Do make sure that you put yourself in a position to, you want to put yourself in a position to win. But my thing is, like, coming in as a freshman, especially, I was like, okay, like, how can I stay locked in? How can I stay glued to this profession? So I had to make sure that beforehand I observed physicians, I observed other medical professions, because I knew it was the medical field. I had maybe it's because my mother was a nurse, so I just knew it was going to be that. But I had to observe other professions and just see, like, lifestyle wise, it wasn't just what they did. It's like, how do they live? How much time do they have with their family? Like, family is a big thing for me. And so, like, what were those elements? And lo and behold, it was just like PT. So by the time I was an undergrad, I was locked in. And Casey came in as pharm. I came in as pre-PT. And the one thing that kept me glued, so the question said, what kept you on your grind, pretty much, was the people that I kept around me. There was 3 particular friends, and I've spoken about this before. We've talked about it even in, one of our podcast episodes. If you guys haven't listened to our podcast, just go on our Facebook page and just scroll down. You'll find the link to all that. But 3 of my friends who, from the earliest I can remember, like freshman year, we decided, because we all wanted to become physical therapists, we decided we were going to ride this thing out together, come rain or shine. And I definitely did not understand back then the value of having the right people around me. I didn't understand the value of having people that were gonna pretty much pull me through the finish. I say pull, not push. Pull me through the finish line, especially when I got in my own way. Don't tell me y'all don't get in your own way. You know, when you have the momentum going and then you're like, oh, I don't know if I can get in. Oh, I don't know if I can pass this class. Oh, I don't know if I'll, let me just drop this class because I won't make it. Let me just do this. Let me look at 3 other professions that I can, aim low and hit because I don't know if I'm really going to be a PT. And so I had to put people around me, y'all. They were the same people. Like, we all got the same phone call, same day to the same program when we got accepted into PT school. Now that doesn't happen, but it's because at every up, down point, their names are Dwayne Haskins. The other one is called Gabriella Haskins. They're married now. They weren't then. They're married now. And then Adam Mondak. They were the 3 that I was like, yo, this is my pre-PT all-star team. This is my ride or dies. And if you guys feel like you're running through this race alone, this journey alone, then that's going to be hard. That's going to be very, very hard. Even this application process, y'all, like, I can't tell you, like, even pre-PT grind, the way it's designed was based off of a program that we started at Andrews University that was based off the fact that I was out here just looking for people that were ahead of me, like older than me, had already taken the classes, had already applied to PT school. I was just asking them questions. I was like, yo. And so we decided down the line, like, we had to create a mentorship platform that put pre-PTs in the same situation. So we did it on our campus at Andrews University in the form of the pre-PT Success Program for a number of years. And then, obviously, now it's an online platform. It's an online course where we help pre-physical therapy students get into PT school without wasting time or money. Like, this is what we do. This is what we love. And so all of that came from just the pursuit and finding other people along the way that could help us, really navigate that. So that's what really kept my grind still today. That's what still keeps my grind as a clinician, in a clinic where I'm the clinic director, as, co-owner of Free PT Grind, doing all these, I have to put myself in a position where I have nothing around me that will pull me backwards. If I have people that are draining me, they usually get, moved out of the way. And so I have people around me, Casey, my fiance, those 3 that I mentioned, Greg Todd. I have people around me that are always keeping me locked in. And same thing with Casey. Like, he just chose most people. But Casey, like, I'll let you speak for yourself, man. Like, what's kept you locked in, homie?
Yeah, I won't go too deep into the story because you guys can hear that on the podcast. I think it's like episode 2. We talked about it before, but what I think would bring most value to you guys is that I gave myself no other options because I applied a second time. I didn't get in the first time. I switched majors as well. So it was like, man, am I going to waste another year? Am I going to waste more money? So in that circumstance, I gave myself no options. So I had no choice but to keep going and to give it everything I got and, get myself ready, what was that, 6 months, 7 months in advance? Like, yeah. There was no other choice for me. So that's what kept me going. Okay. I missed a year, another year of tuition. How am I going to set myself up for the future? Am I going to have a job? All that stuff just kept me laser focused in. So if you give yourself no other options, you have no choice but to stay motivated, stay disciplined, stay on schedule, apply early, get your application in, get that GRE score over a 300, whatever you got to do. Give yourself no other options like I did, and you'll be accepted early fall, early summer, whenever that school starts accepting people, you'll get that phone call just like Joseph, DJ, Gabby, and Adam. So I'll keep it short just like that. And I'm going to add on I was talking about transcripts earlier, and this is important. I want to double back just so you guys are clear and don't make this mistake. Make sure, I talked about earlier about, having your transcripts in and you're taking a summer class later and you're finished later and you can send the other transcripts in later. You can do that after that class is done, but your transcripts and that section in PTCast has to be finished and completed before you hit eSubmit. So let me explain this. You can have your classes in PTCast. You can manually put them in before your summer classes are done, but do not hit eSubmit. Then once your summer class is done, contact the school you're going to, again, the community college. They will send a new transcript if you've already sent your transcript with that finished class. Once those are sent, You can, input your A because you're going to get an A, put that in. Then once that's sent off and, all good to go, then you can hit e-submit. So just want to make that clear so you guys don't make any mistakes, because if you hit e-submit, you would have to wait till like the winter or something like that when it opens up again for transcripts, and that's called academic update. So just Google it, academic update PTCAS, and make sure you have that clarification if you're in that situation. So let's move on to the next.
Boom, boom. Let's wrap it up with 2 more questions. We have 2 questions left, and well, there's a lot of questions, guys. So once again, we could go on for like another hour or 2 easy if we were to answer all the questions. But like we said, we want to still get all your questions. So don't feel as though we're neglecting you. Don't feel like we just skipped over your questions, or whether you did it on here live or you've done it, on any of the other posts that we had previously talking about this live. Like send us messages at contact@preptgrind.com. Let's talk to you guys and just kind of work through this process together, because this is going to be an amazing application process for a lot of you, because you guys have already by being here, you've already put yourself in a position that a lot of people are not willing to, that they're not willing to find guidance and mentorship and just help in understanding this whole thing. It's an interesting application process. It's an interesting, set of progressions leading up to it. But if you can put yourself in the best position to win, then why not? So here's the second to last question, and then we'll hit our last question. And so our last 2 questions are, by Haley and Morgan. Haley's is, can you talk about post-grad school debt and your experience with it? And then Morgan's question is a little bit on letters of recommendation, but more so on how to ask professors that you haven't, interacted with for a long time. So let's start with the professor question, and then we'll end with the financial question. So how do I ask a professor that I haven't, spoken to in a long time? And this goes with PT. Like if I haven't observed a PT in like years, like how do I ask? Just like kind of back to a lot of what we were saying earlier, like just understand where you're at in terms of that dynamic. Like what about your interaction with that professor can you pull out that would bring them back to that moment? If even you reminding them that you were in their class and all, if they can't remember a doggone thing, then even though it was an amazing professor, even though you had an amazing relationship before, if it's not that way now, as in you can't bring that back, then it becomes challenging. But if it's very like, hey, professor, and they're like, oh man, I haven't seen you in a long time, and now they're recalling out of the experiences that you had when you were, in their fold, in their class, the work ethic you were putting in, the interactions you had, you going into their office hours and building that relationship. If they can recall that, then, oh my goodness, that's easy. I would always do it in person if you can. In person is always better than in writing. Now, obviously, you can ask in writing or via, like reaching out to them or calling, whether you can meet in person and what time they'd be available. But in person always wins. Now, email is formal, but in person always wins. And if not in person, a phone call wins. And it gets you an immediate response where you can then explain to them how the process goes. Because if they're good for it, if they're like, yo, of course, I would definitely write you a letter of recommendation. Like you don't want them replying 2 weeks later, and now you're having to re-explain to them how they're going to get, like how PTCAS is going to reach out to them and how they're going to submit the letter of recommendation. Like you don't have time for that. Like on the phone or in person, you can prime them for it. You can tell them what to expect. And then when it happens, you reach out to them again so that process becomes a whole lot easier. But it goes back to the premise of just, who understands you better, who knows you better. I had to tweak a few things, last minute. People that I thought would have been my letters of recommendation switched by the time I applied because things had changed. And there was other new people in my life at that time that were professors or mentors, PTs or whatever that had a much more immediate response. And they actually had a clear perspective of who I was at that moment. That's another big part. Like who I was at that moment rather than who I was, a few years back if I had grown. And if you're like someone like me, I'd grown quite a bit in terms of, everything about myself and how I interacted. And so the last question by Haley is, and like I said, contact preptgrind.com if we did not hit your question. But the last question is, can you talk about post-grad school debt and your experience with it? Well, this is the conversation that could take a long time, but let's keep it really focused. So Casey, we'll start with you, but let's keep it really focused. So in our course, in our pre-PT success program, we like go in depth. We bring in the CEO of FitBucks to kind of break that down. But yeah, it's real. It's real. But I think understanding it is what helps you navigate it, whether it's in how you apply to schools, how you handle that process, and also what you do while you are even in PT school to help you on the back end. I have classmates that were anywhere from, and this is not to scare you, but y'all have already seen the numbers. I had classmates anywhere from like the $40,000 range to $250,000 range in debt because it had accumulated from, when they did their bachelor's programs. And, obviously they were, when they got their refund checks, they were using it for other things, their apartments and livelihood and just living. And so it adds up. And so it's one thing that really does terrify a lot of clinicians, a lot of PT students, a lot of pre-PTs, hence the question. But there are ways around it. Casey, talk to us a little bit about that, boss.
Yeah, the more that, the seasons that we've went through and, seeing how FitBucks has it structured in our course and talking to Joe Reinke a lot, I think I came to the conclusion that like working with money and handling finances is maybe almost like a totally different skill set than, physical therapy school and clinical skills and things like that. So right now, if you're a not clinically, if you're financially sound, financially healthy, you can manage a budget, you don't spend frugally, you don't buy Gucci bags and Louis belts and shoes all the time and go on elaborate vacations, and you're pretty frugal, I think you should be okay with, everything that we have in place with the education and the walkthrough of how you can go about handling your debt with however much or little it is. So we have that set up for you, but ultimately it's going to come down to you and your skill set and how you manage your own finances. So if you don't have any, skills with that and you're scared, I'd say just do some browsing, just Google how to budget, Google some podcasts, go to Contact Pre-PT Grind. We can send you some links. We can give you more information about whatever we like. But I'd say, hone your skills on the financial aspect of your life, and you should be good in the long run.
Boom. That's it. And we can go down the list of skills, but ultimately that's it. Obviously we can go in talking about side hustles and all those different areas, and we will in future posts, and we have in many other previous posts. And we didn't want to make this too long, but that's really it. With the right skills or skills that are even unique to you, you can win big time. I mean, skills that think about it. Like with skills, you have to ask yourself, like, what do people need? If you're in a clinic, like, what do they need? I mean, there's a lot of pain points in the clinic other than just the fact that they need a tech, right? And so there's a lot of pre-PTs right now that have, like even the ones that went to the live event with us, this year that have seen that there's potential with doing so many other things. Like Facebook is how a lot of businesses try to, target their audience. That's how they try to target, their patients, right? So a lot of, direct marketing, but most people don't even know how to do it. They don't know how to like find people, right? A lot of the things that we use, like when y'all see like our Facebook ads running and y'all are getting our emails, it's because over time we found you. You know what I mean? Whether it's through our cheat sheet, whether it's through our live videos, and we're able to then like help you guys even more because you guys have opted into that. You've put your email in to get a cheat sheet. So now we can say, hey, here's more helpful information. And so in the same way, clinics want to build relationships with people. So one skill set is, learning how Facebook advertisement works and just understanding and it's really a lot simpler than you guys might think, but understanding that and being able to offer that, understanding how to start a podcast. A lot of people want to broadcast themselves. Y'all understand media. Older people understand how to communicate. Triple threat. You know what I'm saying? Like put yourself in a position where you just learn skill sets that don't have to be mainstream. They don't have to. And now you're putting yourself in a position where now you stand out not only as, a student, but also now if you're doing this as a pre-PT, you're setting yourself up as a, future applicant. Come on now. But at the same time, like even as a PT student, now you're setting yourself up to learn skills that are going to help you build whatever you want to build. Casey and I wanted to build a pre-PT platform that can help as many pre-PTs in the world as possible. Come on now, right? So we had to learn new skills. There are certain things we had to learn how to do in order to build pre-PT Grind, in order to build a course, in order to have this, in order to be able to present content to you all, in order to have a website. Like, we don't just pay people to do that for us. We did it ourselves because we learned those skills. And then we can teach other people to do them. Now we have we have interns, we have a virtual team, we have people that we can now teach how we do these things, but it's because we learned them first. So understand that there are certain skill sets out there. Those skill sets come with understanding what the needs of those around you are. If you can fit those needs, if you can meet those needs, there's a lot of people that would pay you a lot more than you think, and you spend a lot less time, a lot less stress, and you could put yourself in a position to not, stress yourself out financially, even through the process. You add that to scholarships that you guys can apply for and so many other areas. There are so many ways to put yourself in a position to win as a pre-PT, as a PT student, and as a future physical therapist, guys. We only say that because that's what we do. So y'all have a great evening. Like I said, man, we could have gone forever, but we've been at this for over an hour, or about an hour, and it's been a blessing. It's been a blessing. It's a blessing to serve all of you. It's a blessing to pour into all of you as pre-PTs and just ensure that you guys have the best chance to be, the best possible applicants, period. Be on the lookout, on your Facebook in the upcoming days. We have some content coming your way that, especially for those of you applying this cycle, you're going to want to pay very close attention to. You're going to want to, keep an eye out on. So as you're scrolling Facebook in the next few days, just keep an eye out on it. Enjoy your 4th of July first. But after that, just be on the lookout. We got some good things coming your way. But honestly, it's a blessing. Stay hungry. Stay hungry. All the questions you guys are asking, stay hungry. Stay ahead of the curve in terms of the fact that with this application process, don't wait for it to run you. You have to run it. So even 2 days ahead, like, sit down tonight. What are the steps of what you have to take care of between now and the time you finally submit your application? Now, obviously, you'll know what you don't know because there's those are the areas that you won't be able to fill out. But generally, like, what are the areas that you have to really make sure you look at? And if you do that, you're going to have a pretty successful application process. But at the end of the day, man, put in your best effort. Do everything you can, but understand why you're really doing this. Understand why you're really doing this. Is this some short-term gig? Is this some short-term stint? Or is this some short-term desire to be a physical therapist just because you just saw it last week and you're like, oh, okay, I guess it works. It kind of matches me. I guess it's easy. If that's the case, okay, you're putting yourself in a position to lose. I'll be frank. But if you understand that this is far deeper, this is your life's work, then there's really nothing that can stop you. If you understand that this is your life's work, then there's really nothing that can stop you. And you should be really, ready to, and willing to do whatever it takes to put yourself in a position to do that. Putting yourself around the right people, the right guidance, the right mentorship, and so much more. So you guys have a great evening. It's been a great time with all of you guys. We look forward to seeing y'all soon. Many things. Have a good one and happy 4th of July, y'all. See ya. Bye.